Stretches, puts up the three. Won't go. Rebound Bosh. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang! Tie game with 5 seconds remaining.
Welcome to the ultimate Supercoach and Fantasy Sports Show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Boom shakalaka!
Boom! With a Mike Green bang. How you doing, Skidmore?
I'm fantastic, Jay Wiz, and what an absolute what a day it was today, wasn't it? In the with the draft, this was unbelievable scenes of what we've seen today. So, how good's that? I mean, a couple of surprises, a couple of big ones. It was awesome to see.
Some trades, which was a very nice little action to get amongst. We did say that there'd probably be a couple of little shenanigans happening around that. May I just say, though, well played to you, sir, and well played to, and to me. Well played to us, Skiddy, that we pretty much knocked out of the park the first 15 on order with our mock draft the other day. There was a couple of surprises that we didn't get, but for the most part, stands teams aside, the top end of the draft pretty much fell where they were going to fall.
In some regards, I thought there were some players that went lower than the others. I thought there were some players that were mocked lower and then they rose up and ended up going taken a bit earlier, which I thought was some good takes there. I thought some people that I rated higher fell, and I thought some teams made some really great choices. I thought some teams made some shocking choices, but that's what we're going to address into here, isn't it, Jay?
This is exactly right. Now, don't forget, if you have any questions or comments about the draft or thoughts or takes on it, make sure you just throw it in chat and we'll answer it right throughout. I guess the first one for you is, who do you think is the player, Skiddy? You just said it then. Who is the guy for you that dropped the most in the draft? Who are you most surprised that just fell out of where you thought they would go?
I'm pretty surprised that the booze bust Bazalis fell out of the top 10. I'm pretty shocked by that. I thought he would have been a great pairing with Wemby in San Antonio. And I can understand the Castle pick at 4 to the Spurs. But the fact that they traded out 8, that kind of shocked me a bit because I thought Bazalis would have been prime for the pick in there. But he got where he wanted to go in the end. And it was beautiful watching him and his brother sharing that moment, knowing that he got to play for his hometown, Chicago. So good
seeing the booze bus go at number like 11 was just you couldn't have written it better for the story for the bloke. Like just the emotional tears for him to go here. I love it. He fills it up, and once he bulks up, I reckon he's just going to be an absolute beast. I think I'd probably go with you there as well. My biggest surprise, I want to say he dropped the most, but a guy that I was most surprised by was Topic with OKC. Now, again, this is for my need that, is Isaiah Hartenstein bound for there? Who is bound?
I think so.
Like, you're not going to take a center there. I don't get why they've taken yet another point guard. They've just got Alex Caruso on the OKC. They've got another point guard there. I was the most surprised that they took Topic. Good pick, good player. He's had that partially torn ACL injury, which has obviously made him slide a little bit because people had Topic at number 1 or 2, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like people did have him very high on their boards. They're not sure. Look, this is a team. He's a 6'6" playmaker. He's a big unit. I was surprised to see him fall this far, but I was also surprised to see him taken by the Thunder.
Yeah, no, I think the Thunder, they do genuinely are able to do pretty well at being able to make guys better from then on, and especially the shooting. And that was his biggest query. So I don't mind it. Even if all he is, their bench guy that comes off behind Shea and they can run him sometimes to be able to handle the offense now that Giddy's not there in the off time. Obviously not next season because he's most likely out for the season. Yep. Getting that extra ball handler, I don't mind. I don't hate. I think that they have a pretty good inkling that Isaiah Hartenstein is going to be making his way to them because they missed out now on Claxton. Yep. But now also too, they can pretty much offer Hartenstein what they want, and the Knicks are going to really struggle to match it because now they've extended OG Anunoby today 5 years, $212 million with a player option. It's something you have to do. I get it.
Yep.
But that's a lot for OG.
It is. And look, let's just be honest, though. Their ability to play a small ball lineup with Julius Randle playing a glorified center role is something that I'm not 100% sure on.
Mm-hmm.
But God damn it if I'm not excited to watch it a few times to see how it plays out. Because
look, OG or Bridges will definitely be the rim protector in that scenario because we all know that Randle can't do it. But Randle's very good at rebounding. He would just have to have those guys be able to box out.
It's a switchable team. It's such a switchable team. It's like a mix and it's like you go to the salad bar at Sizzler, and what are you going to put on your plate? Well, I'm just going to take switchable wings.
Yeah.
Some guys who can stretch the floor. No, I don't want the salad, but just give me more of those blokes. And that's pretty much what the Knicks have loaded up with. And my boy Clacko, 25 million a year, basically. You break it down, 4 years, $100 million. For the Nets, this is a team that is going to be actively tanking next year.
Now that they have their own pick, 100%. Yep. I think we could see a lot of Noah Clowney. I think we could see a lot of Derek Whitehead as well. And then I don't think they're done. I reckon Dorian Finney-Smith's probably on the move. I reckon Cam Johnson's
on the move. Yep.
I mean, what the hell are they going to do with Ben Simmons? You just don't know. I reckon Daron Sharp could be gone now with Claxton sticking around. So I reckon there's a lot more that they're going to be able to do during free agency in these times with trades.
I saw a retweet today of a guy who just changed his KD jersey to a Cooper Flag jersey for next year. They've just made it into they've just remade it into that one. I thought that was a really great shout. Now, before we break down the draft, I found this today and I thought it was a high time. It's not only is it a podcast, not only is it for the people, it's also a pack breaking episode because I saw your sexy boy, Amen Thompson. A year ago today, the Thompson twins, they made it into the NBA, and these were $3 at Kmart. I was like,
righto.
Look at this today.
So these are these players that are coming from this rookie draft, are they?
No, this is last year's blokes. Because you know why?
Oh, cool.
Just even opening a pack of last year's guys are probably more exciting than this draft at all. But that being said,
that's what I was going to say, mate. You may as well just have thrown those in the trash because the $3 that you paid for it is never going to be able to oversee any of the amount of dollars that these players would get.
All right. Well, talk about this one. The number one pick in this draft.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. How are you feeling on this, Skiddy? How are you feeling about the draft overall? And number one, let's talk about fantasy implications for this bad boy. What do you think are the biggest fantasy implications for next season?
I think there's none. I think there's one player that I think will start, and I think that's Alex Sarr. I think he'll start in Washington. I'm pretty sure I'm not going too out of the bounds saying that. No. I think there is a slight chance Castle could start in San Antonio, but I'm not convinced on that. I don't think Ricochet will start for Atlanta unless he takes DeAndre Hunter's spot. There's no way that I see Reed Shepherd starting. I mean, maybe there's a chance that Khalil Ware could start because he fell at Miami. There's a chance that he could start power forward there at Miami.
You are high on Khalil Ware.
I do. And honestly, no shit, he has gotten himself into the perfect position for himself.
This is a guy who you really spoke up about Khalil Ware the other night. You put him high on your board. You were like, this is where you wanted to draft him. You actually called this pick the other day as well. You were like, I want to see Khalil there.
I wanted Ware at I wanted him at 12 to OKC, and I thought that.
Oh, you did. That's right.
But I think this is the best place that he could have fallen for him because Bam can play center and he can stretch. That's fine, and they can play side by side. I don't see any problem with that. They're starting power forwards with Kevin Love and Caleb Martin. Ware can get blocks, rebounds. He can shoot a bit. I reckon we could actually be looking at a last round pick if he is the starting power forward for Miami.
I would have put it past that. And we don't know what's happening in Miami. Jimmy Butler apparently is going to hit free agency. It's not worked out there in Miami. He might not be long for the Heat. So they could be in a would you semi-rebuild that? Would you just go into
that's
a
next
stock?
year.
Yeah, but just down the track. So this is a guy we keep on, especially in Dynasty. In Dynasty leagues, we're definitely keeping our eyes on Khalil Ware.
Yeah, I think I always, it's probably the Indiana equivalent, but, because Miles Turner, I always see it like that. I see him a lot as Miles Turner. So I reckon the blocks, the spacing of the three, some rebounds. He showed a little bit of passing, but it's not great. But I could still see some steals and stuff like that just off of the interceptions. He's not a complete liability. And then, if he gets heat culture defense stuck into him, then they've got a really good pick there.
Of all of the picks, and let's go back to our number one, because he was our number one pick, Ricochet. This is a team, we were talking a little bit off air earlier, the Atlanta Hawks. We still don't know what the offseason holds for them. We haven't had an outcome on Trae Young or DeJounte Murray. But this is another, I love this thing we're calling them wings now. We're not just calling them forwards or guards. We're like, you're a wing player. But this is a guy who is basically a power forward. You've got Jalen Johnson. You've got who was a massive breakout last year. Like he was surpassed expectations as advertised. You've got Ricochet now. You've got DeAndre Hunter, like you said. You've got Sadiq Bey, who's obviously, he's gone, but not entirely forgotten, out for a long time. You've got this bulk of guys here in Atlanta. If you're Atlanta, what are you doing as a GM? Do you think Ricochet, especially down the track or close to the season, may come into some fantasy relevance if there are these trades made and he does get some starting minutes? Let's say you go young. You go Okongwu and Ricochet, Jalen Johnson, DeJounte Murray, and whoever else you throw in there as the fifth option. Do you think there is an odds that we still see that in the offseason?
See, I don't rate Ricochet that highly. I know if he does start and people take him as a fantasy option, he will blow your turnovers out the damn water because he had one of the worst assist to turnover ratio in this whole draft and for a lot of drafts previously as well. Yeah. So I know that's a big concern. He's not better than Jalen Johnson, so I don't think that's a worry there for Jalen. No my argument comes with I saw this on Twitter from a guy today, and he was saying it to me, and I said I don't think Ricochet starts over Hunter. But he said, when was the last time you saw a pick one that didn't start? And I went, well, how many times do you see a team that isn't complete tanking or isn't complete shit like Atlanta are that get the first pick? You know what I mean? Yeah. So you don't see that very often. And so I can see a world where Ricochet starts. I just don't know if his fantasy game is that good, because this is a guy that's not able to do off of, the dribble that well. He doesn't do anything really that well. It's just perceived at his age that he can become into one of these good wing players. And that's why Atlanta evidently took him.
I have to agree. G'day to Hands and Heels out there. Shout out to you, my friend. Pointless draft and off-season. Just hand the Celtics the banner. I'm going to disagree with you entirely on the second half of your sentence there, Hands and Heels. Good to you, and thanks for joining the show. You know what? Maybe a pointless draft for the best pass, but I think the off-season is just going to be a shitload of fun. I think we're going to see some major moves. Guys like Paul George, who we're pretty now all assured aren't going to be a Clipper. I think the dominoes, once they all start to fall, it's like an arms race. Do you remember when you were a kid, Skiddy, reading the old Spy versus Spy comics, where there'd be like the one guy'd pull out a little gun, and then the other guy pulls out the shotgun, and then a guy pulls out that's what the race is going to be.
Yeah, Elmer Fudd, Daffy Duck's back. Yeah, I agree there. But Hands and Heels, I reckon you're bang on the money. That the favorites should still be the Celtics pretty comfortably. Yeah. All I could say is the Knicks moves have definitely moved my needle a little bit towards how they have now tried to make a team solely based to stop the Celtics.
It's a Celtics stopping team.
Yeah,
it's a Celtics stopping.
Denver. I know Mavericks are still close. OKC's on the rise. If they make the right moves, they can definitely get right up there. So we got a few that we can still get into that, G.
But let's talk about this, though. We're talking about contenders. Let's not write off these guys. They probably burned their Jets a little bit too soon. But the Minnesota Timberwolves got aggressive in the draft. And Bobby Dillingham, the Dilly Bags, getting picked up by the Spurs at pick number 8. And then they were traded. He was traded to the Timberwolves. This is a high sign that the Minnesota Timberwolves know that they need that extra guard option. They need that there. Here we go. No, you're right. Still on clout. Oh, look at you.
Congratulations, mate. That's awesome.
Good on you, mate. Yeah, no, it's good to see them raise the banner. Look, love your hands and heels. I'm not the biggest Celtics guy. I just don't know why.
Hey, anyone but the Lakers, hands and heels. I'm with you, baby. Thank you very much for sending them down the pecking order. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. I like it, G. Purely because I reckon it's Mike Conley insurance. That's what it is. And I really like it. Yeah. And if he's learning off a guy like Mike Conley, love that. You've still got him around the same age of Ant-Man, which I like. And he's got some upside too. So I like that. I like that trade by Minnesota. They didn't give up too much either. I reckon it's a really solid trade there from Minnesota.
I was really happy that they put their fucking skin in the game on this draft. I'm not going to lie. They've got no picks. They've traded everything around with the Rudy Gobert, but you know how hard I think a guy who can score can be to get in free agency. I think the biggest name that's probably circulating the places to be right now this way would be a Malik Monk equivalent. Would you say would be a similar kind of ball handling guy? Not as big. The Dilly bag isn't as big. He's at 6'1". You know what I mean? But this is a guy who really can be active on offense. He is a spark plug. He can handle the rock. He can move off the ball. He's a great shooter. 44.4%, last year. True shooting percentage of nearly 60% as a young come-up guard. This is a guy who you can throw in. I think we can see him as a 7th, 8th, 9th man in the Timberwolves lineup last year. And if they're down, just throw the man some car keys and like, hey, Robbie, can you go get us a couple of buckets?
Yeah,
sure,
I can see that. He's definitely more of a bucket getter than he would be for Alexander Walker, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think he can definitely do that. So, I think he's not going to get a lot of game time. He's not going to be any fantasy relevant, but that's about it. Jay, I think the only guy, and I think you probably agree with me here, that does actually have somewhat of fantasy relevance, and I want to hear what you think about it. And that's who the Wizards took it to, and that is Alex Sarr.
Yeah, mate. Look, 100%. Like, it's a shit team, and like this is a guy who we all knew was going there. It was like the worst, best kept secret, I think, in the NBA that Alex Sarr refused to work out for the Hawks. He was like, "I'm good, I'm fine."
Yeah,
I don't like, look, I don't know about you, Skiddy, but I like my basketball players to want to compete and play basketball. Give me those guys with that fucking like, I'm going to kill my opponent kind of attitude. The only time that I've really seen that from the bloke, to be fair, in all honesty, was when he was playing with the Wildcats in the, hey, let me show my skills on the international stage in the NBL preseason games over against the G League Ignite. That's the only time we saw him come off the bench in the NBL. And then what? He went away. Well, this is a guy for me that he flashes all that upside of being good, but I just don't know if he is. And if you were to tell me in 5 or 6 years' time that Alex Sarr was back over in France, I'd be like, yeah, he is. And I just don't trust it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you there. Hands down, that's very, very funny. That is hilarious, and I agree with you there, mate. He is a lot like Jason Horn-Francis. I think that's a bitch move, in fairness. I agree with you. I want my guys to come out and be like, hey, I'm gonna run through anyone's chest. Not, hey, I don't really want to be in Atlanta because I might have to come off the bench for a couple of years. I'd rather start in Washington and just lose games and then try and put some stats up. Like, come on, mate. Like, I get it from a business aspect, and he's trying to get coin
it's good business.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I go. But I can see him definitely being somewhat of fantasy relevant because he's pretty good at blocks, can get rebounds. He can theoretically shoot. He didn't do it very well, but we didn't. He
loves to shoot.
Massive minutes. Yeah,
it's like someone someone over in France said, "Hey, have you ever seen Kevin Durant?"
Yeah, that's what.
And just been like. He just tries to be Kevin Durant, but I don't know about his mechanics. I don't know. Do you watch when you watch the mechanics of this guy, have you noticed it for a tall guy because he's tall? He brings his shot down really low.
Yeah, I did notice that too. I don't know why he wouldn't have a higher release. It's
not this higher release where it's like if you're trying to close down on KD has this beautiful swift release. All 2K fans know the Kevin Durant release. This beautiful he brings it really low. which I think for me makes it a slower closeout and just a bit off to the side for me when I watch him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you can just be getting that and popping that ball like in this easy release. And I just find it not as fluid as I would like from Sa. That's just me.
Yeah. Well, you know who's not going to be able to help with that, and that's the Wizards. So have fun with that, Alex. No, but yeah, I'd have a crack at him pretty late. I wouldn't be jumping for him around, I probably wouldn't even take him in the top 100 if I'm being honest with you, mate. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of he shot well around the rim, but I think this is a lot different when he's got guys that are his size rather than the guys in the NBL, and especially that he's playing a lot of bench warmers on the NBL as well in Perth. So we'll see about that.
I think Villas on the ESPN broadcast actually said a really cool thing about him. He's like, he's kind of like, he's athletic, but not great. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, what a backhanded compliment. Like, he's...
Theoretically, he could be a good player. He's got a good build and good athleticism. We'll 100% give him that.
Yeah.
But when's he going to shoot the ball when he's got Jordan Poole on his team?
And Malcolm Brogdon, other trade news for the day. Malcolm Brogdon is now a Washington Wizard. He's been passed more times than a girl in Thailand on that Bucks party that you went to that one time that we don't speak about anymore. He's just been popping around the last couple of years, old mate Malcolm Brogdon, obviously much more aligned with his injuries. That does make Denny Advia a Washington Wizard. You still see a role Portland Trailblazer from the Washington Wizards. You still see a pathway after a career year for Denny Advia. Great year from him. Hey, look who it is.
Matty.
It's Matty Carmody.
G'day,
especially as a Bucks fan. Hey, don't worry, Matty. You got someone who played in the NBL. There you go. You should feel good about it. They've been here in Australia. They've touched grass here in the great Southland.
Yeah, he nearly scored more points than Alex Sarr too. I can see how Avdia gets minutes in the starter spot. I think that's pretty well his the starting small forward position instead of Mari Kamara. But will his fantasy game be as good as it was last year for the Wizards? No, but I can still see him having a role. He's 10, 6, and 6. That 10, 6, and 4. That sounds about right for him. Maybe some defensive stats. All right, field goal. Yeah, I don't mind it. So,
and Anthony Simon's back in your team and popping off 6 ways to Sunday, taking every other shot. You're going to need some other advances. Does this mean that Jeremy Grant sticks around in town? We think so for now, but this does bring us through. Let's read through a little bit of the draft today. We all know we've spoken about the top 2 picks. One guy though that we're really happy about. I would love your thoughts on this bloke, Reed Shepherd. Of course, he is now a Houston Rocket.
Yes. I think he's going to be a great spark plug off the bench for Houston. We saw 52% from 3. I really like it. Just getting a really good scorer and shooter for the Rockets there. And also if they are going to try and make these big trades, then that's good trade bait. I think he'll be good at another team. And then, I like his offensive game. He's a real hustler on defense too. And I think, as I was saying to you, I think he's got himself in a good position if he's going to be able to learn off Fred VanVleet, who is an undersized guard. I think he's got into a really good position where he can learn that. So I think he'll just be that secondary ball handle off the bench, bit of a spark plug, can knock down some threes. They just need to get some defense behind him when he's on court.
Of all of the picks there today, who was the bloke? We haven't spoken about the guy who's dropped the most for you. Skiddy, who was the bloke for you who you're like, oh, Jesus, I can't believe he's still out there on the board right now. Who is that for you?
Oh, but he's still on the bloody board. Johnny Furphy. Can't believe he is not been picked.
The Furpster.
I was praying that the Cavs took him at 20, and then I looked at 30, and I'm like, how the hell is Furphy still here? Like, this has got me stuffed, in all honesty. I can't believe Furphy's still there in the second round.
So you think whoever picks him up on day number 2, he was invited to the green room as well. And you know when you get a green right invite, you're like, oh, hello, look out, might be able to get there. You think that he's definitely going off the board tomorrow?
I thought, in all honesty, I had him. I think I had him about 16 or 17 on my big board, and I was spewing because I thought the Lakers were going to take him. I'm like, big stretch big that can shoot, can do a little bit of everything. JJ will probably be all over that, but then they took Connect, and fair enough. JJ getting a really good shooter in there, so I can see that. But I really, really can't believe that the Cavs didn't pick him up. I thought he would have been great for us. But there you go.
Well, that was my guy. That was my guy. Connect.
Yeah. Connect.
That was my guy. I'm sitting back going like, surely someone takes Dalton soon. Surely the man's going off the board. And he didn't. And he was still there. This is a guy who I was thinking was – now, I know that – now, Skiddy, we've had our disagreements about Dalton.
Yeah.
I think he is probably the most contentious guy. He was a senior, which you don't see often. He was a great player at Tennessee. He held him down. He's 6'6", basically, 6'5" and a bit. He's 23. He's got a 6'9" wingspan, which obviously isn't that great. 39.7% from three-point land. Great point scorer. Can move off the ball. He can pull up the threat. He's got good on-ball defense. Like this is a guy who I really like and the guy can light it up. Like if you want a flamethrower off your bench, you want a flamethrower in your team, Dalton Connect is the guy. And this comes back to it did the rounds of the internet today, where it's like they were watching a Tennessee game a while back, and LeBron James was like, "Yeah, man, just watch the Tennessee and Purdue game. Fucking Dalton Connect is a fucking baller. He's a player." And for me, he's got the guy. He's very similar to a dude like your Cavs guy, like a Maxi Strus guy, but with a better shot. He's okay. I think he's a very similar, but he's a senior. You think the bloke hands down is tell me your comp.
He's Duncan Robinson, and that is Duncan it, Robinson. Mate. He
Dalton.
Mate. He tried out for the draft the last 2 years before this, and he went undrafted, and he got nowhere near it. So he had to go back to school. Yes, he had a good year at Tennessee, but before that, he was shithouse. Yes, he can shoot the ball. I can see that, but mate, he's going to be such a defensive liability for the Lakers, and they are going to have to bank on AD being able to protect the rim when he's on the floor.
But it's AD.
No, I don't like it. I know JJ. Look, I respect the hell out of JJ Redick, and his basketball mind is amazing. He's obviously going to be able to put him in the right spot to be shooting, and he's going to be able to shoot. But I don't see him any more than Duncan Robinson.
I think he can play some good on-ball defense. He'll get torched off it if you put him in the pick and roll. I think he'll get absolutely torched in that way. I'm not disagreeing with it. But when I'm
telling you right now, when they are in the playoffs, right, and he's on the floor, every single player on the opposing team will be like, I'm taking that guy. They are going to have Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to be licking his lips at Dalton Connect on the floor. Every single for his whole career. Mate, he showed me nothing.
Fuck you. Look, let's just talk
about with two peg legs. Two peg legs on defense. Can shoot.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that one, but this is a very thing we say. Let's all talk about the NBA for a second. We're not here to fuck spiders. How much of the NBA, especially when it comes to playoff basketball, Skiddy? By the way, if you're drinking pink gin, I doff my cap to you, sir, if that is a pink. But can I just say, when we're watching the pick, how often is it like a pick and roll? We saw Luka, undisputably one of the world's best basketball players, still try to be singled out in the pick and roll. You're going to get guys and switches in pick and roll defense in actions all the time. That's why we talk about a switchable player, a switchable NBA, these switchable wings guys. Duncan Connect, if you put that guy on the ball, you can bury a dude in the corner if he's not your primary. You can do that to some extent and try and switch it up and get that draw. But that's just how you mix up your five on the floor. We all know it comes down to that. But we also want a guy who can probably improve. Like you said, great mind under JJ Redick, can shoot. We know the Lakers need spacing. We know they need dependability there. They've got it. I give it like an A+ for them for drafting. Like if Dalton Connect's still on your board, I just see around like fucking Dalton.
Look, I'll give it a B+ for the Lakers because they literally addressed the one thing that they needed, and that was shooting. I think they're like, if you could have got any other bloke that could shoot, it would have been great. But, they got connected, and I reckon that was the right pick for the Lakers. I just don't like him as a player. That's where
it was the right pick.
Yep.
Who do you love? Who did you love the most? Who did you love the most as a player? Can I say? Well, you say you didn't like the pick. Who was the guy when you said that you were salivating? Like you're like, oh fuck, that's a good pick. Like when they took him in this team, you're like, that's the guy.
There was a couple. I liked Bazalis going to the Bulls. I reckon the Bulls made a really good pick there, picking Bazalis. I really, really liked Ron Holland. I hate that he went to Detroit though. because they've already ship off Jaden Ivey and let Ron Holland do his thing. I really like him. I like the fact that the Wizards traded up to get Bub Carrington. I liked that. I reckon he was really, really good.
You love Bubby Carrington.
I do like Bub. I reckon that was a good one there. I felt like, obviously, I loved Khalil Ware, 15 for Miami. I thought really, really nice pick was Phoenix trading back from 22 to 28 and then getting Ryan Dunn, the best defender in the draft. I mean, he cannot play a lick of offense, but he's bloody good defensively. And I thought that was
great defender.
Being able to get another pick later on for trade bait and everything like that for the Suns, and then being able to get the best defender in the draft at 28. Well done, Phoenix. I thought that was really, really good for them. And I thought Isaiah Collier going to the Jazz at 29. I thought that was a really good pick by the Jazz. I couldn't believe he fell that far. I know he had the legal troubles and everything like that, but he got acquitted of that. He got moved past it. I think he was a lot better than 29 in this draft.
And that's what I've got a similar thing. Terrence Shannon Jr. We all know that he's had his off-court troubles as well. 27, the Timberwolves. Yet another spark plug offensively. They've just pulled in they're like, what do we need? We need offense. Okay, let's just bring in like two of the best scorers in the draft into our team. And they've really filled a hole there. I love that one for them. Hisham Dede, the Knicks. We talked about the Knicks last night. We thought the Knicks were probably like a possible Bronny James situation. Like you've got two picks side by side. You can take one and tank one, or just take a wild shot. I mean, I thought it was like, you know what? You can do a best of both worlds situation here. You can pull in the guy that's best on the draft here. We're not talking about a draft that's going to change your mind. I mean, Carmody knows this. You're not going to get really fucking riveted by AJ Johnson to the Bucks at 23. So when you've got 24 and 25 side by side, there was a chance that the Knicks took Bronny James. They didn't. But man, I'm not going to lie. I really like Basham there. He's got a good burst of energy. He was there, but I've got to ask about your Jalen Tyson for the Cavaliers, your team. What do you think about Jalen there?
I just want to quickly go back to what was his name for the Knicks, the French guy? What's his name?
Dede.
Yeah. I like that pick by the Knicks. In fairness, 6'6" point guard showed a little bit, get much of the time in the French league, but he's young. Like that's a real swing. I actually like that pick for the Knicks.
Yeah, me too.
So, for Cavs, Tyson, 19-point scorer out of Cal. I don't know what. Don't know. I think the Cavs just went, we just try and get some scoring, see what we can do. Build's all right. He's a, guard kind of type, offensive-minded. I mean, we'll see how he goes. But I think the Cavs just went for who they thought was the best player available at that point. But he just seems like a smaller crap. Who the hell did we get last year at 47? The long lanky scorer that models himself after KD. I can't remember his name now.
He had moments last year. You were just like on him for a hard second.
He's a good 3-point shooter. I can't remember what his name is now. I'll search it up and I can't remember it now. But tell me about what do you reckon about Steph Castle going forward to the Spurs?
Oh, I love that. I was really happy to see Steph Castle go in there to the Spurs. This is a guy who's profiled really well. We all knew he was going to be one of the top picks of the draft. There was, he's coming out of UConn. He's the thing that we like about him. He's got a 56-point true shooting percentage. The guy knows how to handle the ball. He knows to run offense. The thing that I'm most concerned about with Castle is his 3-point shooting. Like he was only 26.7%. I want a guy who can stretch my floor with Wemby. But again, we've got a young core here. Now, this is a team this is the thing about that trade as well with the Timberwolves that I didn't get. You've got Victor Wembanyama, who is undisputably going to be the best player in the NBA in the next 5 years.
I like the Castle pick. I reckon he's got good upside.
Yeah.
He's 6'5", 6'9" wingspan. I like that. He's still young. I think the major knock on him was his defense. And as we said, put the best defender behind him and you don't have to worry about it too much. So I like that. I don't know if he starts, but, we'll have to wait and see. And the Cavs player that I was saying was Amoni Bates. So
You loved your
got
mates.
Bates. Yeah, so that's all right there. We look at 5. And that was Ron Holland. I like that pick by Detroit. It just doesn't fit well in Detroit because as I think I said it to one of the boys, he's basically like what Jaden Ivey is. And he doesn't, Jaden Ivey doesn't work next to Cade. Ron's probably not going to work next to Cade, but that is a nice like little punch off the bench that you could work with there. So I don't mind that. What I think they did was, seeing as they don't have a head coach, they fumbled when they were at 5, didn't know who to take, and then just went, screw it, we're going to take the best player that we think that's there, and that's Holland. I agree with them that he was the best player there. I just don't think that they had like any team building in mind, and they just went, oh, we're just going to take the best player. Because now they have Cade, Holland, Ivy, all 3 can't play next to each other. They probably should have gone wing size or something like that there. But again, there's not much there, so you kind of just go best player. And I think they did a good job in taking Ron Holland.
This is another guy that I was surprised that jumped up the board so long to the Hornets at number 6. I was surprised he's jumped up. I didn't see the need. I like Mark Williams. I like Nick Richards. I like what they've got in the bigs. Now, Bridges is still there. We've got this team that we know, but they're not good.
Salon's a power forward, by the way, though. He can play next to both of those guys.
And he can, but this is the thing. They've got these bigs here. The power forward is Miles Bridges. So we've got these bigs if he re-signs there after the year. I'm curious what they're going to do there because they're starting to get some size. They don't play size. They play small ball a lot. And that's what always has been the Nick Williams, the Nick and, Nick Richards and Mark Williams debate, like who we're going to have. I just think that, look, I would have loved to have seen them taking another big guard or another small forward kind of, but you've got Brandon Miller. If I'm the Hornets, I drafted well last year and I can draft around LaMelo and Miller and be very happy with that for my team.
I definitely can agree with you there. I don't mind the pick in fairness. He's still young. He's not even 19 yet, but he's got the right size. So I don't mind that there. He's got some good defensive prowess and he can theoretically shoot. So I don't mind the pick there. I thought they would have gone for a guard to go next to LaMelo. Something like maybe even Rob Dillingham. I thought that was probably going to be the pick, but I honestly don't hate it from a potential aspect because they got the wing size body player that you want. That we've seen that's won championships with Brown and Tatum. So have a swing at it. The draft's not that great that you could be super worried about missing all these players. Like they weren't going to, who gives a crap if they passed on, Klingon or Edie or anything like that. Who cares? So I don't mind the pick. They're obviously not trying to win a championship or anything like that yet. So they may as well just keep trying to go with the draft. And they may as well have a swing on this bloke.
You did touch on his name going next, pick number 7 to the Portland Trailblazers. Was one Mr. Donovan Klingon. This has started up today, the arms race of the, Domi Trade Ayton talks. It's not going to happen. Just it's a meme. It's don't buy into it. But good pick by them. A center can come out there. You touched on Zach Edey. He went down after we've touched on Ron Gillingham. Zach Edey, number 9 to the Grizzlies. This is one of the drafting. This is filling a need, isn't it?
It's got me honestly stuffed for both of them. Why would the Blazers choose Klingon? I get that he's theoretically the best defender in this draft. I get that. He could have massive upside as being the defender. He's got really good defensive instincts. I like that. You needed, Ayton isn't a great defender, but neither of them can shoot. So neither of them can space the floor. And we know how important that is in the NBA. So they're going to, what are they going to do there in the line? It's either trade Ayton or trade Klingon. Or you just hope that one of them is able to space the floor and shoot. But then the mobility for both of them isn't great. So, I don't know about that one for Portland. I can see that you'd have a bank on such a good defensive player and hope that he blossoms into something. I like that. But Zach Edey to Memphis. Why the hell are they so against playing Jaren Jackson Jr. at the 5? I do not understand it. They gave away Steven Adams for a worse version of Steven Adams. I just do not get it. Just play JJ at the Triple J at the 5, and that's it. That's Bob's your uncle. But I don't know. Is JJJ now going down the aspect of Anthony Davis where he's like, oh, I don't want to be a 4.
Yes.
I want to be a 4.
Yes. I want to be a 4.
Yeah, because that's what Alex Sarr does now, apparently, as well. So, yeah, I had Edie so much farther down just because I just don't. Bigs in the league have to do something else to be amazing, right? We've got, when you look at Jokic and Şengün and Embiid and these type of players, they are like, the big centers that can do the passing. They can do, Sabonis as well. They're elite rebounding. They're elite at looking at where the ball's going for rebounding. They're elite scoring, something like that. That's not Edie. Edie literally got away with his foul rate in college was 85%, which means for every shot that he took, every 8 out of 10 shots he took were fouled.
Yep.
Were fouled. That's not happening in the NBA. So they've, instead of being a 25 per game scorer in college, he'll then go down to 8? And you pretty much just get him down there for size because Jaren Jackson Jr. doesn't want to box out. Like, yeah, I don't know.
He's got a presence down there. He's almost 7'4". Like, he's 7'3". His wingspan is basically 7'11". Like, go get a Slurpee from them. Go get a Slurpee from the bloke. He's a big presence. Let's just call him Rudy Gobert light. But for the sake of it being Rudy, you can't bring this guy away from the rim.
I've got a better one of saying it. He's like Boban Marjanovic light. That's what he is. Maybe a little bit better than Boban.
I think he's better than Boban.
I mean, yeah, I can see it. Look, also too, I could be very, very wrong as well about Edie. But yeah, I don't know. I want to see it because of the foul rate. That's the thing that worries me so much.
I don't disagree with that. But the one thing I like about Zach Edey is that when we talk about the college game, there's something that in college basketball, if you watch enough of it, you don't see a lot. And that's a really great screen and roll game. Like a pick and roll game or a screen, a pick and pop game. It's like guys in college can't fucking screen. Like, you watch guys do it all the time. Like, you've seen it like in the NCAA tournament, Skiddy. These guys are out there and they're trying, like, they just don't know how to set a hard screen. There's one thing about Edey that I know that I'm going to get. And that's a guy who will complicitly take responsibility for setting a good screen. And what do you need if you're playing this role in the NBA? Yeah. That's the difference in the transition game, I think. And with Ja, I think it's going to be deadly.
Yeah, okay. I can definitely see that in a positive aspect for Ja. I can definitely agree with you on that and get around that. So, yeah. Well, do you reckon he starts?
Yeah.
Or do they go... So, you reckon they go Ja, Bane, if Smart's still there as well, then maybe JJJ,
I still see
maybe Vince Williams in there as well.
I think Vince is off the bench. I think after what Vince Williams has done last year, I reckon you'll be able to see some really good motor and some late stock in Vince Williams coming off as a spark plug off the bench. Marcus Smart, we all know, can be deployed, and we've seen it back when his Celtics days. The man's gone 0 dark 30 since the Celtics won the championship. I want a welfare check on the bloke. Trade rumors, your old team's won the championship. You've been in fucking every single trade rumor with the Memphis Grizzlies for the past 2 weeks leading up to the draft. Poor old Marcus. But I reckon you can see Bane is a bigger body as well. Let's not lie. Bane's a stocky boy. He can play the small forward role. So you can have Smart. You can have Smart out there with Bane. You can have it with Ja, Edey, and Triple J. Now Triple J loves to space the floor. You're going to get more off-ball looks for him, like more like set in the corner looks for him this season than he had to take an emphasis on the offense last year. ZD just needs to shut the fuck up. Eat when he gets the chance to eat. Pull down them rebounds, pass the ball. He's got a really soft touch as well. That's what I like about Edey. He's got a really soft touch.
What he needs to, if he's going to work in that offense, though, because he has to get the hell out of Ja's way after he sets that screen. 100%. He desperately needs to be able to knock down that 20-foot jumper. If he can hit that consistently, then it will. I can see it in a way that it works. Yeah, absolutely.
He's also got this really big floater game. Who are you going to bring up next, Skiddy?
I'm bringing up Cody Williams at 10 to the Utah Jazz.
Our boy.
Which body size I get, but he is not J-Dub. I can see how everyone's going to get excited about Cody Williams, but I think they're going more for the physicals and the body rather than what we actually saw last year at Colorado. So Because that didn't impress me a whole lot. But, if he's anything like his brother, then fair enough. He's still young and he's got time. And I guess they do need a forward desperately. So that's what they got in Cody Williams. I don't see him doing much. But, G, I want to know about you.
Mm-hmm.
Bazalis, the booze bus going to Chicago. How much do you like that?
I love that. Look, the man brought an absolute tear to my eye today. His absolute love of his hometown was just incredible. Like, this guy was just like, I actually think he would have probably, if he didn't go to Chicago, he might have just been a last second pullout. Like, draft boards had this guy going in the top 5. He's like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. I'll go next year and see where I go. Like, the guy legitimately, this is what I'm saying. This is a guy who's fallen. I've seen him in draft boards go 3, 4, 6, 7. And then he falls to his hometown. Again, we brought it up the other night with his shot, Skiddy. You would love it if he had a more dependable jumper. His true shooting percentage of 55% is great. This is the thing about the bloke. He can hit his free throws. He can hit his mid-ranges. He can finish near the rim. He's got a true shooting percentage of basically 55%, 54.9. Yep. But his three-point range, his clip is 27.3, mm-hmm. which means he's either really, really shit at shooting, which he can be in that range, but he can space it. He's not good with his movement threes. So a lot of the offense where he was doing it was off the dribble kind of movement. That's not his shot. As a spacer, as a spot catch and shoot guy, he's versatile. He has a natural feel for the game, I think.
Yep. I think it was hard in the G League Ignite as well. That team was very poorly constructed. So,
much so they don't exist anymore. They don't exist anymore. That's how bad.
Yep, that is fair. I don't see him starting over Pat Williams, though.
No.
But I like the pick of him being able to come off the bench and just learn from that there. Which
I love the boost bus. I love the boost bus there.
I like it too. Who we got it? 12. We've already touched on Topic going to the Oklahoma City Thunder. 13 was Devin Carter to the Kings. How much do the Kings love taking an older point guard? An older rookie?
So much.
Got me. I mean, look, I like what he did last year, but out of Providence, but mate, I'm not saying star upside here. He's short, but he's a good rebounder and he's good explosiveness for what he does. I can't see him getting a role unless he takes over Chris Duarte, who was another older rookie that was drafted and then they got from Indiana. So
you just don't like older rookies, Skiddy. You like the young boys.
I like older rookies in the fact when they can plug and play. I don't like older rookies in the fact where they struggled for 2 or 3 years in college, then had one good year and then were able to fly up the draft boards because they beat up on younger kids that were 4 years younger than them. That doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence because then they're going into the NBA where they're playing players their own age and players older than them. And what are they going to do?
And you know what? I don't like it when you draft Davion Mitchell 2.0. He has a better 3-point shot than Davion Mitchell. This whole he gets his reputation as a lockdown on-ball defender, and I'm like, the guy's shorter than me, and I'm like, sure, he's probably quicker and more athletic than me. That's a given.
Definitely.
But I'm 6'4". I wouldn't consider myself rolling out there of the guy being smaller than me, lighter than me, as being my on-ball defender. I just don't see it in the NBA. In the college game, I can see it a bit more. Like you said, beating up on guys younger than him and smaller than him.
But also too, I like the physicals are nice though because it does have a 6'9" wingspan, which I like. His old man is Anthony Carter, who spent a lot of time with the Nuggets and the Bulls. So obviously he's got good teachings behind him. The numbers were really good.
Trash.
The numbers were good though. But when we're looking at it as well, G, he almost shot as well as Connect from downtown last year.
37.7%.
Yeah. So. I think, in fairness, though, at that point, I just think it's funny because the Kings were obviously trying to win now mode, and they went with a guy that's ready made. But out of the older guys, I did like Carter the most. I just feel like the athleticism and the build is quite nice, and the variety of things that he's able to do. He's 6'3" and he averaged 8.7 rebounds a game, G, which I don't mind. So
the hustle's there.
Yeah. He's not going to get much court time or anything like that with, Fox and Davey on there. But I can definitely see a world where he kind of can mold himself into it, maybe get a couple of minutes here and there. So it's not the worst pick in the world, but it's
Not
definitely
the
the best in my eyes.
Rounding out the lottery was your guy. He was traded to the Wizards from the Trailblazers. Your boy. It's your boy. Carlton, Bub Carrington. CC, Bubby Carrington. Mate, Wizards, does he have some impact in fantasy next season? Do you see, if Tyus goes, that here's the starting point guard with Jordan Poole?
Is he though?
Is he though?
Why can't Poole just be the starting point guard, which I think was more likely to happen?
Because he's not a good decision maker. He's Jordan Poole. He's not a good
true.
Decision maker. He
true.
likes to shoot before passing.
That's
He's Jordan
true.
Poole. I'm just going through these Jordan Poole reasons.
Yeah.
And it's and I would say, like, maybe if you say, hey dude, you're new, pass me the ball. My name's Jordan. You're probably going to be a more effective point guard in your rookie year than Jordan Poole.
That is true. Look, I really like Bub. Just 6'4", 6'5" point guard, can handle the rock pretty well, and he's got a 6'8" wingspan. I love that. And this is the main triple double threat, I reckon. Yeah. He gets 5.2 rebounds, 4 assists. His teammates shot like shit, so fair enough. 32% from 3, so he can stretch it. Yeah, I like Bub. I reckon he would have fit pretty well on a lot of teams. I just don't know if he will get the starting spot at the Wizards. But they're the Wizards, so you just
they're the Wizards.
Yeah,
you know what?
I love the pick by the Wizards.
So if you look at their team, you're going to have potentially at the end of this season 3 guys who've got 2 years of NBA experience under their belt with Bilal Coulibaly, Alex Sarr, and Bub Carrington running the team down the stretch. Kyle Kuzma may take a very early holiday, and Jordan Poole be just like, oh no, that's cool. Let me just redeem myself in the last 2 or 3 months of my fantasy season. And come back to relevancy. Shout out to our boy Matrix as well.
Yeah.
Love you, Matty. Wish the Grizzlies were successful in trading up for Clingan. That was the talk. I think at some point we did talk about this. Their need was for the center. Clingan was falling in drafts. He was rising. I think Salon going at 6 was a little bit of a ripple effect right about there. Look, they missed out by 2 blokes. And I wasn't sure the Trailblazers, if you're in the Grizzlies, and you're sitting there on draft night, and you're one of the managers, one of the guys drafting, would you be looking around and being like, "What the fuck are these Portland blokes doing? Taking a center?" Do you think they were going elsewhere? Like, would you be like, "Wait a second, I thought we were going to get him. I didn't think the Spurs taking him. I didn't see the Spurs taking him.
No,
the Spurs weren't taking him.
No.
What the fuck's Portland doing?"
Yeah, exactly right. But that's how it ended up going, because apparently JJ doesn't want to play the 5. So there you go. But we already touched on Khalil Ware, and Bub. If Bub gets the starting point guard role, that is someone that I would actually be genuinely having a crack on in my last pick in my fantasy. The field goal is obviously not going to be great, but I love all the other counting stats that he can provide. So he would be definitely one that I watched. We've already touched on Khalil Ware. If he's a starting power forward in Miami, then I would definitely have a crack at him, because he can do it all. I loved watching Jared McCain get picked by Philadelphia, Matty, because
I love that. I love that.
What was it? His brother is his biggest supporter, and his brother now feels that he is purely on this earth to help his little brother succeed, because he had some injury that stunted all of his basketballing, and he's not able to fully do it anymore. You know that slide? You know that player is not Jared McCain on that slide, yeah?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I got the wrong one.
I just realized that's Tristan De Silva.
That is Tristan De Silva. Yeah.
Yeah, I just realized, because the prick thinks that he said if he wasn't going to be a basketball player, he reckons he's going to be a male model. And I remember looking at his photo, I went, really?
Really? Not this guy. He was from Duke as well. I put the wrong one in. But look, the guy can shoot it from 3. He's 6'2". He can shoot it from 3, 41% last year. His wingspan, I'm not high on. But this is a guy, if you mix him out there with Tyrese Maxey, who can really mix things up in Philly.
Yep.
I think him and Maxey together is a backcourt. It's a good scoring backcourt there.
Yeah. Shocking defense.
Shocking defense, really good. We've covered most of the main picks from today that I think they've got any real impact in fantasy for this year. As we said, it's not going to really move our needle. We've made some trades. We've touched even on old mate Ryan Dunn going from the Nuggets traded to the Suns. Congratulations, you're the Denver Nuggets. You don't want any more draft picks. Fuck it, we're fine. We're Denver. Let's just go to Phoenix. The big news from yesterday, and you've touched on it briefly today. Mikal Bridges now a New York Knick. Oh yeah,
I had one more guy that.
Oh, who's the guy?
I wanted to touch on of where they landed. So, I didn't mind the Pelicans taking Messi.
I liked Messi too. We called him as one of our guys.
I mean, he's just a rim runner, and that's basically all he does there. I didn't mind that, but Jacoby Walter landing in
this is true.
Landing in Toronto was an interesting one for me. Now that I saw that, so he's a 6'5" guard, and he's got a 6'10" wingspan. He's just turned 20, shot 34% from three, 4 boards, true shooting percentage of 54. So I don't mind that. If there is any chance that Gary Trent Jr. gets moved on, and we could see Walter get moved into there, I think there could be something in there for it. It'd be a very, very, very low pick, but I do like the fact that he was able to land there in Toronto.
I agree. I think that was a good pick from them. And look, again, Masai Ujiri makes good moves and smart. And it's nice, a little bit of a, no, we're not going to take Bronny James as well move. Now, this is the great thing.
He was never going in the first round. Bronny was never going in the first round. Never.
The only place that I said that I saw would have been the Knicks, who had 2 picks side by side and taken him in the second.
The only one that I thought he was going to go by any chance was if he went to the Celtics at 30, just because the Celtics had the ultimate fuck you to the Lakers. And I thought that'd be hilarious. They're riding high off beating them in the banners. And then they just went, oh, you know what? We got your best player's son on the team, and he ain't playing shit. That would have been great.
G League, what? Yeah. Love that for the Celtics. That would have been funny for their fans. That would have been an absolute piss take. Now, this is how good we did the other night. We did pick out some guys who we thought were going to take. We did the first 15 picks. We said these are the guys. We pretty much hit on all of them. We pretty much guessed a lot of Sands a couple, and the rest of the guys have fallen down. But however, we did have some guys to watch for the rest of the first round who haven't made it here. Now, we know Terrence Shannon went off the board at 20. He went off the board at 27 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Isaiah Collier, we know that Collier, 29. He went off the board at 29. So these are the guys that we said to watch for later in the draft. There are 2 names here, Kyle Flapowski and Kevin McCullough Jr., who was seen as one of the latest risers in the draft, who we can probably look to go tomorrow in the second round. I would be seeing them. You thinking Furphy is off tomorrow?
Furphy and Filipowski, I can't believe they didn't go first round.
I'm stuff. And I'm a little bit shocked at old mate as well, Bobby Klintman, who I thought actually showed more for the Cairns Taipans in the NBL last year than AJ Johnson did with Illawarra. AJ had some flashes, sure. But for me, I really liked Bobby Klintman. I know Matrix and Hammer from our NBL show. I know that they were there and they were like pumping this bloke up. And that, talk about those guys as well. Big shout out to Matrix and that guys. Don't forget with that, get into our Insight Unlimited, huge Discord. We've got 1,000 members in there right now. We're doing everything in there from NFL, NRL. There you go, 100%, Matty. Bobby was so much better than AJ last year. So if this was a guy that, I don't know if some bloke from the Bucks just got in their phone and Googled guys who are draft eligible from the NBL, and AJ alphabetical order was the first one they saw. Like, oh, fucking that guy. Like, that's I can't explain it, but that's just what I'd be doing. Get on into that one as well, because our unlimited is popping off. And Skiddy, we're talking fantasy upside. The BDB is coming. Our BDBs are coming. What do you think BDB stands for, Skiddy?
Big dick back?
No, it's not big dick back. We discussed the acronyms. We discussed the acronyms in the pre-show briefing.
Big draft board.
Big draft board. Yes, it's not something that it is something that you can search at work that is safe for it. It is not the other stuff that's going to send you to some other kind of hub. Oh, whoops. There goes my Google history. Our big draft boards.
Incognito. What do you mean? Carry on.
People can still see that. Our big draft boards, our insight, myself, we've got tiers. We're going to give it away for free in the unlimited as well. So if you're an unlimited member, we're going to have basically 5 sets of draft boards. We're going to have some of our insight contributors. We're going to have Matrix in there. And then for an extra $10 for the year, only for an extra $10, you're going to get my draft board. You're going to get Skiddy's draft board and Mally's draft board. It's going to be huge. We're going to put our top 150 picks in the NBA draft into that bad boy. We're going to plug them. So if you're like an Insight member for Unlimited, you're going to have access to 2 of the big draft boards. If you're if you pay an extra $10, you're going to get 5 draft boards basically for the use of your NBA fantasy, which is huge bloody intel. We're going to go for our trends from last year's rankings, this year's ranking, and a couple of these blokes, Skiddy, will make the cut.
Yep. Maybe not.
I've got 2 on my board. I've got 2 in my early prelim who I'm going to keep my eye on in the last round.
And
yep. It's a drinking
who's your other one? Because mine's Ware.
Where?
Well, yeah, if he's the starting power forward in Miami, then yeah, absolutely. Is your other one Castle?
It's Castle.
Oh, it's Castle? Yeah. Okay.
It's
and then
Castle.
also, too, as we said, if Edie's the starting center in Memphis, then we can have a crack there. If Bub Carrington's the starting point guard in Washington, we can have a crack there. So, yeah, there's a couple that we could have a look at. It just depends on how the rest of free agency all adds up, eh? And speaking of free agency, G.
Oh, it's coming.
It is coming, but we've already seen some moves.
We already have. And we've also seen guys decline their contract. Our free agency signings, mate, who's been the biggest ones to you so far? Like, or the trades or the things with signings that you've seen?
Well, it's obviously Mikal Bridges. That's obviously the big one there. He's now gone to New York for five first-round picks and a second, and Bojan Bogdanovic. So, yeah, I think his fantasy value is in the absolute shitter. His field goal potential will probably come back up, which is nice. But I think everything else is going to go down just because of how good that how well-rounded the Knicks team is now. We're going to see if Thibodeau can finally end his game play streak because he'll probably play him 48 minutes a night.
And he'll die. He'll die.
Pretty much. Yeah. So, no, that'll be interesting to see. I think it hurts pretty much everyone on the Knicks, probably aside from Jalen Brunson. I think he can still stay around the mark, probably a little bit lower, but not a massive dip like, we'd see for, Julius Randle is going to get absolutely slaughtered, depending on what they do with the center option there. Do you see anything?
I did. I just actually thought about it. I'm like, fuck me. Maybe if we're doing the top 150, maybe there is a third rookie that pops their head into it.
Who?
The booze bus.
That's Patrick Williams.
Now,
man.
this is, I don't know, man. There's apparently no DeRozan extension in the works. We've known for the longest time. DeMar wants to go back to Los Angeles, whether it's as a Clipper. And now, this is what we talked about at the top of the show. The dominoes that are going to come in free agency, and the night that free agency hits and all that, we're going to be doing a live show that night again, like tonight. We'll talk through it and what we think, and just we'll put our answers. We'll try and get Matty on. We'll just talk it out between us and just try and come to some borderline. Now, we know that there's no extension in the works for DeMar DeRozan in Chicago. We know that they want to move Zach LaVine. And the more I think about it, I'm like, Jesus, the booze bus is going to have some relevance. I reckon Buzelis could have some relevance there. Now, Patty Williams, as you said, now if they move LaVine and DeRozan's gone, I mean, Kobe White's going to be there. He's going to obviously be going upwards. Kobe White's obviously going to have increased stock this year, but our eyes are already on Kobe.
Yeah.
Dosunmu, Caruso's out. Dosunmu there. And the thing that came out about this the other day was when they did the Caruso move and they got Skiddy in, I can see Skiddy working really well with Buzelis, but this was the curious thing. Lonzo has been doing all those, like, I'm getting healthy. Yeah. But there was just wording there that Lonzo wasn't going to come kind of back.
Yeah.
I just don't know his future. So I reckon Buzelis he could make my top 150.
Look, if DeMar goes and they trade LaVine and we're looking at a starting lineup of Skiddy, Kobe White, Pat Williams, Buzelis, Vucevic. That's if they keep Vucevic at that time as well. They'd probably sell him off as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see if they could move Patty Williams to the 3 and Buzelis can start at the 4, then yeah, I could see that there, G. But that is a lot of dominoes that would have to fall. Chicago would have to blow the whole thing up for that to be a case.
This is why we love free agency. I love the
That is
fucking
true.
chaos.
Yep.
I'm just
that's
like,
true. I can definitely say that.
I'm just the dog sitting on the dumpster, going down the fire, baby, saying this is fine.
Yep. I can definitely say that. And then what the other trade that we saw was obviously Denny Avdia to Portland, which maybe you could maybe have a crack at it, but it feels iffy. We'll have to see how the rest of the dominoes fall there. Brogdon's probably going to get traded onwards again from the Wizards, unless they put him in a role where he's just teaching the young kids, teaching Bub how to. Actually, Brogdon's probably a bloody good teacher for Bub now.
He's probably thinking of him. And if Tyus goes off as well, he's got a couple of really
Tyus
good bets.
Tyus would have to leave for Bub to have any kind of value there.
100%.
So we'll see how that goes with it. But geez, I can't wait for free agent to see how all these dominoes are going to fall. We've got a lot of players to see where if they're gonna keep their contracts going or if they're going to be on the move, and see where these stars are going to go. Like, Paul George is apparently going to get offered a massive one from the Warriors or the 76ers. Yep. Jimmy Butler's apparently not going to re-sign with Miami, but I think he's still got one more year. So we'll see if they're just going to offload him. If Donovan Mitchell signs and then Garland goes, or if Donovan goes and Garland stays, where Brandon Ingram's going to go. Apparently he's getting offers out of his ass. Trades there for the Pelicans. So any more that I'm missing? We got
those are the main. Those are pretty the main. Dude, it's just, again, it's the weapons race. The NBA is an arms race, and the second that someone comes available or someone moves, every GM and their dog is going to be like, who can I get real quickly? Who do they want to? They don't want to be behind the arms race, especially the teams that we know as the contenders, especially with the Warriors pushing in for Paul George. We've got Klay Thompson. That's probably the other biggest name in free agency. Like, where is he going to go? Is he going to be a Philadelphia 76er? Is he going to go to the Orlando Magic of all teams that have got this young core? Like,
hey,
I
don't mind it.
Look, he's an LA guy. This is the thing that's been said. If he just wants to go around, he can fucking end up as a Laker or a Clipper, for the love of God. He's just down. He can just sail his boat down the Californian coast.
See,
that's what Klay can be doing.
What you just did there is why I hate the Lakers so fucking much. Oh, there's a free agent that pops up. Oh my God, he's going to go to LA. Oh my God, he's going to be.
I don't think he will. But we know that he's a Californian dude. So I included Clippers in there as well. Especially, this is the thing, the domino. If Paul George goes and there's cap space, who is around there? Oh, we've got Kawhi. We've got veterans in the room. Who is he going to fit in with? He's going to want to work with veterans. He's coming off Steph and Draymond. So I could probably see him more going to the Clippers, with Steve Ballmer wanting to pay some contract out his ass to fill that new arena and still think that he has a splash brother on him. And that's all I'm thinking at the end of the day. I've still got two packs of cards to open.
We'll see how it all turns out. But yeah, I can't wait to see it. I just hope Lakers do no one.
Look, of course
they got Dalton Connect though. Oh,
they got Dalton Connect. No. I am most hyped to see this Knicks team next year. I am so incredibly on these Knicks as being a fun team to watch. I just love the bromance between these guys. The FaceTime yesterday between those four guys.
I love it.
I love that. Like, I'm just so happy to see four mates or four guys who've got some connection actually end up together in the NBA. For me, that's rich. I have to say, as much as I hate the Lakers, I do love JJ Redick, so I kind of now don't hate him as much just because I love JJ. Don't soften in your old age.
No. Well, I just love JJ, and I love LeBron, obviously. But
I do too.
Now I kind of don't mind. Yeah, I'd like to see. I have so much respect for JJ and the basketball mind that he entails. So I'm just like, well. Yeah, my favorite story with how much of a basketball geek JJ Redick is today was that in the draft room, apparently Pelinka's like, yeah, we were there, and then all of a sudden he looked over and JJ Redick was drawing up plays for Connect. Oh, really?
That was the funniest story that I've read. Wait a second, it was. I still had it up. I was reading it. It was like, where was it? JJ drawing plays during draft. Rob Pelinka said that Reddick immediately got to work after Lakers drafted Dalton Connect and started drafting players up for Dalton Connect.
I like that.
I got a Houses Harris card. That's
Burn
pretty
it.
shit. Burn it. Caleb Martin. Burn it. Talking about rookies from last year who you'll never hear of for a while, there's Julian Phillips from the Chicago Bulls. They've had to superimpose him on a court because he doesn't see any time.
Yep, that checks out.
And a Draymond green border card. I think the green borders in the new hoops.
Watch out, it might punch you in the groin, so careful on that. But hey, come on, we've been going for an hour. Let's wrap them up. But I'm going to give you one more question, G. One more question.
Oh no, dude!
In free agency that's coming up, who would you like to see move to what team? What would be your ideal one? You sit there and you go, okay, this team is close to doing. They're close to taking that next step. They just need this player. Who is that for you?
The free agents?
You could, free agents. Let's just not choose someone that's like, long-term contracted down.
I would actually love to see PG win a ring. I think for me, Paul George is my number one impact guy where he goes. I know I'm hearing a lot of Warriors hype. I don't think we're just interchangeable pieces with the Warriors and PG going there and being the salvation and the savior to bring them back to championship relevance in a really packed Western Conference. Like the Western Conference is deep. I don't see that. I actually really like PG. I really would love to see him go to Philadelphia.
Right.
I really like what he can do with that. Now I know that and there's a thing, he said he was into it. And then on his own podcast, he was like, oh yeah, James has told me that Maury's a dickhead. I'm like, oh, that's not good. That's not good. Like, that's not good. That's like, and we know players talk. So for me, I would like good things for Paul George. I just think he's the guy who, he broke his leg at that Team USA camp. Yep. He's had to come back in. He's had to play through. This was a guy we talked about as well sometimes as playoff P. Like he sucks sometimes and then he's great. I think he's a guy that I would love to see go out of the league eventually with a ring. He's aging, but I think he's a player of quality and character. So for me, I think he is the biggest domino piece. But I'd also just like to see Klay Thompson happy after a year last year. Yep. But the big one for me is I really, really want the parallel sliding door universe world was that the Los Angeles Lakers never got Russell Westbrook. They took DeMar DeRozan. They did. But they took the other door and they took DeMar DeRozan, and he got to go home and spend 2-3 years to finish his career and in his twilight in his hometown because of how much California means to him. I would love to see him end up as a Clipper or as a Laker just for him because I think DeMar DeRozan is just a good dude. Yeah. So for me, I want to see him there, not for a Lakers win, not for a Clippers win, just for the personal win of DeMar DeRozan, I think, for a human aspect. What about you, man? Who are you looking forward most to?
I mean, I like both of your options there because I like both of those players, and I think they've given a lot for the league. But when I look at it, I sit there and go, what team is that close to making that jump to being a championship contender to take, the stranglehold against Boston and taking that next step to being close to be able to do it? My eyes look firmly into the Western Conference, and that is against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I think the move that they've made for Caruso is great. I think if they can get a center in Isaiah Hartenstein, I think that would be really bloody good for them. If they could get that one more star, let's say Paul George goes back there, right? Let's say they were able to be like, hey, Miami, Jimmy's not re-signing, give us Jimmy. And they get Jimmy and they keep their whole core connected in there, and they just get that one superstar extra piece. I reckon that really, really opens shit up. And with the chemistry that they have, the floor spacing they have, the defensive ability they have, the superstar they have in Shea, and they get one more piece there. Oh my God, would the Oklahoma City Thunder do some damage?
Who are you? Who I'm most underwhelmed by? There's two dudes that I'm probably thinking about as well who are like good. or who could fill something. I'm talking guys like, okay, so unrestricted free agent for me. I love Valanciunas. I'm very curious to see what he does. I'm also very, very curious about Tobias Harris because I am completely underwhelmed by Tobias.
Yeah, he's a good plug and play guy. He's a good glue guy.
He's a glue guy. But I'm like the player option in a guy like KCP. What does KCP do? Like, does he just say, "Yeah, I'm back for another one"?
Threes? Yeah, I'd say they give it another crack, depending on whether they can get someone else just in to come off of the bench that they had when to fill the void when Bruce Brown left.
I don't disagree. So I'm thinking KCP opts in. If he doesn't, who gets him? I'm curious by. By the way, talking about traded guys, I got a Mikal Bridges.
Oh, lovely. Hold on to that. If he becomes if the Knicks have a good run.
No, I got an Oladipo Green. He's not out there. This is even more yuck. A Mason Plumlee.
Very nice.
Yeah, I got a Strouth rookie card.
Okay.
But, hello, look what I just pulled up. I pulled up an Asar Thompson rookie card.
Oh, there you go. Beautiful. I love that.
Hey, got the guy. You love it when you pull the guy that's on the packet.
Oh, how good's that?
There we go. What a way to finish the podcast on. And it's
fantastic.
Finishing with a good rookie from a shit rookie class pod, which is amazing.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you everybody that was in chat tonight. I hope you guys got a little bit of something out of it. We're obviously going to keep it on. When free agency starts up, we'll be banging out these pods to be able to talk about what the fantasy implications are for players that go, where they didn't go, what then implicates for the teams that miss out on those players and the rest of the team as a whole with those players, with the players leaving, what it all kind of means. And as G said, we're going to have draft boards coming thick and firing soon, G. Anything else?
In the meantime, as we said, make sure you jump onto our Unlimited Insight there, our NFL show as well. The boys are doing God's work in the NFL. It's not there. It's one of our most recent additions to the network. Shout out to Guns and to NFL Maverick. We've got our web store up and loaded. You've got some of the gear. You're wearing a couple of them right now. I'm wearing one of the tees. You can check out the gear. The link for that is below as well. We've got a whole bunch of Father's Day merch that is dropping this weekend. That should be up there ready for the boys by their end of week shows. So when you guys do your weekly reviews of what to do, that is the shout you want to be given. We don't just like you. We love you. Make sure you like and subscribe to all the things. We'll check you soon, guys.